Guests are making their TV debut, here to perform Shut Me Up, which went to #1 of the Billboard charts from the new album, You'll Rebel to Anything. Here's Mindless Self Indulgence.
Growing up, I thought I knew what kind of people my favorite musicians and bands were. We all have that kind of mindset when it comes to our favorite artists. I think we're all guilty of that in our lives at some point. However, it isn't until we get to knowing how to research what kind of folks we're looked up to, whether it's from their social media accounts, experiences from other fans, or simply just searching them on Google. It's also really disappointing when we all find out who our favorite public figure really is as a person, in bad ways more than once. Whether it's from an awful outburst they did in public or in private, an offensive post they may have posted years ago, or worse, those actions against them. In this video essay, I'm going to talk about a lead singer from a band I used to constantly listen to since the middle of my years in high school. That person is Jimmy Urine from Mindless Self Indulgence. For those who don't know who this band is, Mindless Self Indulgence, also known as MSI, is an American electro-punk band that was formed since 1989 in New York City. The band original members being James Urine, also known as Jimmy Urine, or sometimes goes by Little Jimmy Urine, and his brother Marcus Urine, until finding their main guitarist Steve Montroe, known as Steve Wright. Marcus Urine left the band after their 2 albums, Mindless Self Indulgence and Crappy Little Demo, were released. The band had new members besides Steve Wright after Marcus left, such as Jennifer Dunn, known as Kitty, as their drummer, and short-time bassist Vanessa YT, who would soon be replaced by Lindsay Amballato, known as Lindsay Way, known as Lindsay. They have released 5 albums, 2 EPs, 1 live album, and 1 live DVD until the band broke up in 2015 after the compilation of their 2014 tour and their final album releasing Pink 1990 to 1995, which was a compilation of their music that was never fully released during the early years of MSI. Their most well-known albums and most controversial are Tight, released in 1999, and Frankenstein Girls Will Seem Strangely Sexy, released in 2000. So you're probably wondering, what does this brief history of the band have to do with what the title of the video is about? Well, here's why I mentioned that so far. That's because Jimmy Urine might not be the only one that knew about the allegations against him, as we're going to be talking about here. On August 9th, 2021, a lawsuit was filed against Jimmy Urine by a fan regarding a very ugly and disgusting past. Jimmy Urine was charged of sexual battery of a minor by the New York Supreme Court. The anonymous fan came out about sexual abuse from Jimmy when she was a minor, which is how the lawsuit started. That same anonymous fan also claims that she was in a sexual relationship with Jimmy when she was only 15 years old, from January 1997 to June 1999. Keep in mind, Jimmy was 27 years old when he started dating her at that time. The lawsuit also alleges that Jimmy, quote, groomed and manipulated her into believing that his sexually assaultive behavior was not criminal, and that by engaging in sexual activity with him, she was actually helping to protect younger girls from sexual assaults. It also states that Jimmy wrote a letter to the underage fan wishing her a happy 15th birthday when she was actually turning 16 at the time. It also alleged that Jimmy took pictures of the fan nude, even together without consent, and requested that she act like a small child, suck her thumb, drool, and pee in her pants during their sexual activities. It also states that Jimmy brought a fake ID for the fan so she could go to concerts with him and drink alcohol. Jimmy also allegedly tried to hide their relationship by telling her not to act affectionately with him while in public. It is said that the underage fan, who is now an adult woman, has gotten through so much emotional distress over the years since the relationship started. If you think the lawsuit is the only problem with Jimmy Urine, think again. This isn't even the first time he's been involved with law enforcement. When Mindless Self Indulgence performed in Michigan in 1999, Jimmy Urine was arrested for indecent exposure and spent a night in jail after he exposed his penis on stage. Believe it or not, it gets worse with the allegations about Jimmy Urine. Recently, a subreddit on MSI announced that on January 28, 2022, that the New York Supreme Court has dismissed the claims from the anonymous fan, and that a pre-hearing conference is not required. Which sounds good at first, as MSI fans would like to hear. However, it's not the first time someone's claims have been denied by the court despite evidence and allegations being true, while the perpetrator walks free. A Tumblr blog that goes by the username Goth Lindsay has stated that the other member of MSI, Lindsay herself, told vocalist Jessica Adams from the band Jack Off Jill that she 100% knew about Jimmy's underage girlfriend. The blog user also states that Lindsay called the early rumblings of Jimmy being a pedo a smear campaign while knowing full well what he did. This also begs the question, with the evidence against Jimmy Urine, does that mean the band members of MSI knew what he was actually up to and did nothing to stop? After the lawsuit was first announced last year, Jimmy has not posted anything since June 20th, 2021 on his Instagram. Not to mention, if you go to his Instagram still, you aren't allowed to make any comments on any of his posts anymore since that option for his entire account has been disabled. His Twitter account has been abandoned since June 2020, a year before the lawsuit was even announced. Jimmy Urine and the rest of his band members have been very quiet throughout this controversy and hasn't even said if the allegations against him are even true as of right now as I am researching all of this. In my recent post on Instagram and Twitter, I've announced that I have unfollowed Jimmy Urine on Instagram and recently Twitter. I also posted a pinned comment on one of my videos not too long ago stating that the statements I've made in the past have aged like milk on my video called Paige Hebert's Art Transformations, Mindless Self Indulgence, episode 40, that was posted back in Halloween 2017. Now, as controversial as it sounds for me to say, I still listen to MSI occasionally. However, I don't enjoy their music as much now since I now know about Jimmy Urine as a person and what he has done. As of now, I would like to separate the art from the artist. And to the victim that was groomed by Jimmy Urine, I'm really sorry for what happened to you and what you've had to go through if you are listening to this by some chance. I want to also state that the victim's words are not meaningless. I think everybody deserves to speak out as I say this. Wow, that was kind of a hassle of a video to make, but I wanted to make this video for multiple reasons. One, as somebody who is an MSI fan myself, it was really hard for me to have to say to myself, yeah, that this guy's a predator. And I want to mention this personally a little bit. I've never really told this to anybody as I'm finishing editing the video, but I'm going to show you screenshots here. And back around, I would say between 2015 to 2017, I believe, when I was between ages of 18 to 20, I've never really said this, but Jimmy Urine himself actually liked my post in the past. Yeah, you heard that right. The Jimmy Urine from MSI. Whether when I made fan art of him at the time, or fan art of Lindsay or the rest of the band members, as you just saw the screenshots here. I don't usually say this, but I feel kind of dirty now knowing that a fucking predator liked my content. If I would have known that he was like this the entire time, I would have immediately unfollowed him instantly. I said that on the last bit of the video. I have officially unfollowed him this year because it was still pretty hard for me to analyze, yeah, this guy is a fucking creep. And I don't usually say that very often. Now listen, as much as I fucking hate the guy, I'm so glad I've never met him in person, because I don't know if he would have done the same thing to me, but considering the allegations of the victim and what people said me about the victim, what she went through, I can believe that he probably would have gone to me too if it was even that far. If I would have gotten like VIP meetings backstage, you know. I never see these guys live, and maybe that's a good thing, because knowing the allegations, and Lindsay, who also happens to be Gerard Way's wife from My Chemical Romance, yeah, Gerard Way's married to that woman. If you look it up, I mean, they have a kid together since 2009, and I don't know what's gonna happen there. If the allegations of her knowing what she knew, she can be just as in big trouble as Jimmy. Maybe not to the extent, because, you know, they always treat female criminals a lot differently than male criminals. Either way, if that's true, what allegedly said by the Tumblr blog I looked up, finding out, then fuck. Because this is another person I looked up to. I used to think Lindsay was a badass chick, where she was one of those public figures where she could still be a badass chick, you know, but still be very cool at the same time, and still have a killer look too. I mean, just assume that it was always just male public figures I've looked up to with my aesthetic. No, a lot of women too. I mean, I looked up to Susie and the Banshees. I used to look up to Amy Lee from Evanescence. I mean, I could go on about this. And Lindsay, yeah, even though she wasn't, you know, a singer, I mean, she was the basis of the band. And the woman herself has a very distinctive performance when she's out live. I mean, you know, it's her, and that's kind of one of those figures I've always looked up to as well back in high school. And I don't know about Kitty and Steve Wright as far as I know, but if they knew about all this too, fuck them as well. And the other thing I think I forgot about is that it's been said that Kitty and Jimmy Urine are cousins. I'm not kidding. I mean, I mean, from what I've heard about, when I looked at the research, I totally forgot they were cousins. And I get it, you want to stick up for your family members, but if they're doing something this fucked up, I say, as much as I love you, you're really fucked up in the head and you need to be in prison. I mean, that's what I would do, but I guess not everybody thinks that way. Do you still listen to this band even after the allegations and all the evidence that's been shown against Jimmy? Because occasionally I do, but I only listen for their music strictly. I don't look at them as people I can look up to anymore, knowing what has happened. Keep in mind, too, Jimmy Urine also has kids himself, too. I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen with him and his wife as well, too, because I know from a live stream, I remember this one here, I remember watched it, like, years ago, and where she was actually defending one of the songs, which was the song, Panty Shot. I still remember that song, actually, but what I didn't know, listen, a lot of rock stars and metalheads, they'll sing about fucked up things, but that usually it doesn't mean they're like that in person. But in that case, I can believe he's fucked up in that kind of way. I don't think, as far as I'm concerned, he's done anything younger than 15, but that doesn't make things much better. I really just want to also point this out, too. Even though I just listen to their music occasionally, it's the same thing that goes with people like Morrissey, Marilyn Manson, that are really fucked up, but somehow their music actually sounds pretty cool. And it's the same way I feel about it here. I mean, it's like how people listen to Michael Jackson. Like, we know what kind of person he really is after the documentary of Neverland, and knowing about him now, I'm not gonna say that you're a terrible person, but you still listen to his music. We're just listening to it for the art. We're not listening because we're always influenced by the artist. And I know that's controversial, but that's pretty much, I know I said that many times in this video, but I still strongly believe it. And to Jimmy Urine, fuck you. I'm serious, Jimmy Urine. If you by some small chance are watching this, why? Why did you do the things that you did? And you're very quiet and not addressing what you've done. And normally, listen, I know I'm coming off as kind of a hypocrite because I said in my Brendan Urie videos is that to take some time after the allegations. In this case, no. This is one of those cases where if you're being accused of something this horrendous, then I think you have every right to address it and say, no, I didn't do it, let me show you that. I mean, in this case, you know, when it causes one of the worst allegations to be known as a predator, you should speak up with a lawyer and speak up, you know, and say, I didn't do this, here's why. At least for a month or so. I will give you that. But that's all I gotta say. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to subscribe if you like my content. If you like my videos, then give it a thumbs up. And I have a link tree now, so I'll use my link tree link now if you want to go to my shops or to my social media now, so it doesn't feel like you guys are reading a script down the description anymore. So that's where I've done it. And so I made some changes about that. So anyways, thank you all and have a great day.